Hey everybody, welcome to Hard4Games. I'm your host Tony, and I bought a Jelly Boy prototype. Now, I've always been fascinated with this Euro-exclusive platformer. It always seemed a bit odd. Perhaps it was the mystique of not getting it over here in the US, or the fact that it was never even released in Japan, as retro gamers were very used to things being released in Japan but never making it over here. Or occasionally being released in Japan and Europe but not the US, like Terranigma for example. But there are a few console titles that were just released in Europe, and that's it. As far as those Euro-exclusive titles, this one, at least to me, seems to be one of the most interesting. Yeah, I know you may be wondering, okay, yeah, cool, you bought a prototype. You've bought 1 million prototypes. Actually, I haven't. I think this is the first one I've actually purchased, because I mostly buy up like development equipment so I can help people dump their games. I've had a ton of prototypes in-house that I've dumped. I have a big old stack of them over there that were given away, but this is actually the first one that I've owned, as a matter of fact, which is kind of strange to say considering how long I've been doing this. So a little bit of background here. Jelly Boy was released for the Super Nintendo in 1995. A Genesis prototype was discovered and dumped, but a retail Genesis, or in this case Mega Drive, release never actually ever occurred. It was developed by Probe, published by Ocean, known for their licensed titles and their arcade conversions, and the game also has additional credits to Electronic Arts, EA. I should note that this game is totally unrelated to the unreleased Jelly Boy 2 and its prequel, Jerry Boy. So I snatched this cart up hoping for the best, hoping it would at least boot, which it did. And overall, it seemed to be in pretty decent conditions with the EPROMs properly covered, and it has the name Ocean on the development board, which is, pretty badass in my opinion. I dumped it, loaded it up in a hex to compare it to retail, and immediately saw differences. Despite this though, the build does seem near final. We're gonna go over what differences I've seen so far though in this video. I should mention as well that I'm kind of taking my time with this one. This is kind of still in progress, so I may do an update at some point regarding this prototype. Oftentimes when I get prototypes in-house, I'm kind of on a timetable, right? So I want to be able to return them to their owners as quickly as possible while doing the best research that I can. So I kind of put some internal pressure on myself to make sure that it's done in a timely manner. This one, I'm kind of just more so having fun with it and enjoying myself. So again, this is what I've seen so far. There might be an update at some point. This is sort of a work in progress project. So most of the changes I've seen are minor so far anyways, but let's go ahead and go through them. So here's how the ROM actually identifies itself. So in the retail, we just have Jelly Boy. And in the prototype version, we have Jelly Boy copyright 1992 Probe. Now, two things here. It does say 1992. It was released in 1995. This is a near final build, so it either means one of two things. One, it may have been near final for a couple of years and just didn't get published for a little while for whatever reason, or two, this could be a build closer to 1995 and they just didn't update the copyright information. Also note, on the title screen, it doesn't say copyright Probe, it says copyright Electronic Arts. There are also differences in the passwords. So unfortunately, this game doesn't have a save feature, it just has a really lengthy, tedious password system. And the passwords are just ever so slightly different. So for example, the password in the retail version that unlocks all of the levels doesn't quite unlock all of the levels. It unlocks all but the last level in the prototype version of the game. Also strangely, when you go to input the password in the prototype and the retail version of the game, there's already a password inputted into it. It's very strange. In the prototype version, you say, okay, I'm gonna go with this default password, and it just starts the game. In the retail version, you say, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start with this default password, and it tells you there's a password error, that it doesn't work, which is weird because it's the default. Next up here, we have the high scores. And you'll note that the prototype high scores are way higher and rearranged compared to the retail high scores. I think they ultimately decided that the prototype high scores were too high of a benchmark and that no player would ever get nearly get nearly as high as these, I guess. I'm not sure. It is a pretty tough game, so they kind of lowered the bar a little bit for retail. Lastly, we have some difference in the end credits, all related to Electronic Arts. So in the retail version of the game, we have some credits to EA testers. In the prototype version, that just doesn't exist. By the way, you should definitely read the credits here because they're pretty cute. So that is it for today. Thank you all for watching. Again, I'm kind of taking my time with this one. I'm going to keep researching it, see if I can see any other differences. It seems like all the level layouts, enemy placements, all that stuff pretty much seem to be the same, but I'm going to tinker around with it a little bit more and then hopefully get it out into the wild for all of you guys. So again, thank you for watching and we'll see y'all next time.